Humanity brings cannons, labs, and monsters, but Zombie brings disaster-level silence. Spoiler warning from here. This stretch follows Zombie as he moves deeper into human society after surviving far longer than any normal monster should. The joke is that everyone keeps treating him like a problem with a category: target, zombie, weapon, experiment, threat. But the story keeps proving the same brutal point. Zombie is not just another undead wandering into a modern city. He is the thing every group wants to measure, copy, contain, or use, and every attempt makes the danger bigger. Zombie and a small group arrive at a huge, official-looking structure, and right away the world feels less like a normal city and more like a machine built to process threats. They get inspected, guided, and sent through dark mechanical routes, almost as if the humans are proud of how deep their systems go. But the catch is, somewhere inside that same network, a red and black armored woman is facing a smug uniformed man, while a captive boy is kept under pressure. She wants the boy released. He does not flinch. He talks like the real prize is not the hostage, but the masked green-hooded figure moving through the city. By the time Zombie reaches the prosperous streets, the wealth and technology look impressive, but also fragile, because everyone here is already playing with forces they do not understand. Meanwhile, the story pulls us into a darker tower, and this is where the comedy gives way to something uglier. A silver-haired man sits in a facility with a green-haired subordinate nearby, calmly discussing the impossible problem of Zombie's strength. The visuals around them are grotesque. Machines, containers, a creature-like mouth, and a hulking body that looks more like a failed miracle than a success. The implication is nasty. They are not just afraid of Zombie. They want to create something from him, or something like him, and even they seem to understand that copying that kind of power is almost impossible. Then the scene shifts through masked figures, a horned woman, and a tense vehicle conversation before Inspector Chen enters the picture at an airport, ready to head towards City H. The hunt is no longer local. It is mobilizing. Public panic spreads before the investigators even arrive. People look up at aircraft and emergency movement while officials try to keep order, which is always a bad sign in a zombie story, because calm announcements usually mean the truth is worse. A masked woman and a green-haired child watch the chaos with uncertainty, and the child wants to help even though the situation is clearly bigger than him. Inspector Chen's team prepares to fly towards City H, and airport staff confirm the route, and plane like this is a controlled mission. But inside the traveling group, the mood is uneven. Some treat the zombie danger seriously. The blonde eye-patched woman stays dismissive, almost bored, focused on herself, while others talk about what may be waiting ahead. That contrast matters, because by the time they move, the city is already becoming a test site. City H looks busy, modern, and alive, but danger is already walking through its streets in suits. A blond man moves with followers, another dark-clothed young man watches the scene, and a purple-haired suited figure appears with a massive gray-skinned companion and a small hooded girl. Everyone is measuring everyone else. Nobody fully explains themselves, but the body language says enough. This is not a normal street dispute. It is a gathering of dangerous people trying to decide who owns the situation. Then the pressure snaps in public. A red case slams down hard enough to crack the pavement, and that one impact changes the atmosphere from negotiation to threat display. The blond man recoils, bystanders freeze, and a dark-cloaked young man with green lining lands through a shockwave. Watch this. The city has not even seen the real fight yet. Inspector Chen's side finally faces the black-haired, red-eyed zombie-like man in a damaged city area, and the first problem is obvious. This enemy does not look rushed. He appears above wreckage like he has already chosen the battlefield, while the people below are still trying to understand the rules. The blonde woman and the others react with alarm, but alarm does not slow him down. Someone tries to move, someone tries to coordinate, and a green-haired fighter pushes forward, but the red-eyed man handles pressure like a man brushing dust off his sleeve. Impacts tear through the ground. Bodies fly. The team that arrived as investigators suddenly looks like civilians standing too close to artillery. And here is where it gets brutal. Every failed attack teaches the same lesson. that courage is not the same thing as having enough power. After that clash, Zombie separates from the stunned group near a high coastal structure, and the distance he creates is almost insulting. The others look up, argue, and try to process what he is doing, but he is already moving through the air with impossible speed, green cloth trailing behind him like a marker for something they cannot catch. The setting opens into bright coastal roads and beachside space, which should feel peaceful, except the huge dark shape near the shore turns the whole place into a warning sign. His companions follow at a distance, reacting with fear and confusion, while Zombie stays mostly silent. That silence is the scary part. He is not performing for them. He is not explaining himself. He walks forward alone, and the darker close-up that follows makes it feel like his true nature is pressing through the human disguise. Then the scale breaks. Zombie stands before armed observers near the coast, and instead of giving them a normal fight, he turns the environment itself into the demonstration. A huge wave rises. Water or ice surges outward in a circular blast. People are thrown back, debris scatters, and the battlefield starts looking less like a shoreline and more like the center of a disaster zone. The wild part is how calm he remains while everyone else panics. Officials and commanders watch through screens as the phenomenon becomes visible on a citywide scale, and the imagery stretches into something almost cosmic. Planets, a floating city, Earth from above. Whether that is vision, technique, or scale comparison, the message is clear. Their weapons are local. His threat is planetary in feeling. And when he calmly asks if they have seen enough, the answer is obvious. The massive blue spiral hanging over sea and sky pulls everyone toward the same fear. Something has gone beyond containment. Observers stare, vehicles move, and teams try to track the disturbance, but the story cuts somewhere even more dangerous, back into a facility full of modified beings and desperate science. A white-haired scientist activates a green device or injection even while a masked attacker confronts him, and that choice feels reckless in exactly the way secret lab choices always are. He knows he is making a monster. He does it anyway. The activation triggers panic, impact, and alarms, and the gray zombie-like figure that emerges is not treated like a patient. It is treated like a weapon that has finally been given permission to move. The command is simple in spirit: kill, escape, and turn the facility's own ambition against it. The crisis jumps back into the air, where an aircraft crossing the sky becomes the next unstable arena. Something goes wrong fast. People are thrown into danger, figures scatter through open air, and a pale long-haired woman appears with the kind of presence that says she is not there to rescue anyone quietly. Around her, fighters collide: a red-haired man, a gray-armored or muscular figure, a dark-cloaked presence, and others moving through impacts and threats. There is also a dark opening or chamber below, which makes the whole aircraft incident feel less like an accident and more like a drop into a trap. Later, the gray-skinned young man faces a white-haired man and asks the real question underneath all this madness: can he become as strong as Zombie? The promise he receives is terrifying, because someone believes the answer is yes. The final clash shifts to a bleak facility or settlement where armed guards surround Zombie and his companions, and for a moment, it looks like human numbers might matter. They do not. A white-haired woman in a black cape steps from a doorway with total confidence, and the entire scene bends around her. She speaks calmly, takes command, and raises a long black weapon that might be a blade, cannon, or launcher. Whatever it is, the effect is clear: the battlefield erupts. A dark armored figure with a red eye appears amid the violence. Explosions rip through the area, and Zombie somehow survives the chaos well enough to keep challenging the situation. Soon the confrontation moves deeper around the structure, with a horned or monstrous figure entering the tension. The white-haired woman watches calmly, and that is the cliffhanger. Nobody here looks finished. What makes this arc work is the escalation. It starts with systems: checkpoints, airports, cities, officials, labs. Human civilization keeps saying, we have structures for this. We have weapons for this. We have experiments for this. But every time Zombie enters the frame, those structures look smaller. Inspector Chen and the others are not useless, which is important. They are brave, organized, and sometimes genuinely sharp. The problem is that they are operating in a world where undead power, lab-made monsters, and disaster scale abilities are all colliding at once. So the real question is not whether Zombie can beat one enemy. It is whether anyone can survive the chain reaction caused by trying to copy him, control him, or provoke him. Subscribe for the next recap, because this standoff is one bad move from exploding.